Hey, welcome back to my home market garden. Before I got too far along in the process, I wanted to show you all what I'm doing. What I'm doing today is broad forking. This is typically the first step, and this is known as a broad fork. Put it in the ground, you pull back, you just want to bring up the soil enough to where it cracks on typically the sides and in the top. And from there, we can then amend the bed with a fresh layer of compost. I think I'm going to go somewhere around 4 to 6 inches. Again, I want a nice layer. This is only my technically second season. I started it last September. So I wanted to come back with another 4 to 6 inches. From there, I'll amend in my organic fertilizer. I have a tilther, you could rake it in. We'll go through those steps. I've strung my lines. These are 30-inch wide beds. I have about 14 inches on each side. So I'm going to go ahead and broad fork this row. We'll come back. We'll put down a layer of compost. I'll rake it out. And we'll probably stop there. I'm working against the weather. We have some rain forecasted. And my goal is to get the compost down. From there, I can give it a final rake. Put down my fertilizer, rake it in, and I'll proceed to direct sow. So again, this is known as broad forking. We just want to crack that surface, and then you could pick it right up. The preferred method, because if you're doing a lot, is to pick it up and just slide it and go to the next spot. And then you just step on it, wiggle it back and forth. So I'm going to finish this up, and we'll come back, see what it looks like. Okay, so I've broad forked the entire bed. Gosh, I would say maybe it took 15 minutes, if even that. And now I'm just giving it a light raking to kind of level it. So I do have some weeds in here. I'm taking this opportunity to just pick those out because this is very loose right now. It's getting really cloudy. The humidity's kicked up. I'm getting sweaty here. I think while I have the broad fork out and it's dirty, I'm going to do this section of the other 40-foot bed. I do have some cucumbers over here. I'm going to hold off on that. Give it another maybe 2 weeks to see if I get any fruit to form. If I do, I'll leave it a little bit longer. It acted as a good ground cover for now. There are some tomato plants. The goal is if I get some suckers, I'll take them, get them to root, and I could use that as some starts in the greenhouse. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and continue to rake this. The next step would be I'm going to put down, again, 4 to 6 inches of compost. So I do have to raise my string up. It's a little low. I like to get it close to the height I want it to be. It makes it easy when I come back later and rake. It'll give me a little bit more level surface. Not that that's critical, but it looks nice. And so I'll rake this out. I've got to pull back. If you notice, I have my drip tape irrigation. I've removed some of the metal stakes and I've pulled it back. You can see it probably in the background over there. Once I get this compost reapplied and I amend in the fertilizer, I'll bring those back. Well, actually, I take that back. I'll then use my gritter to make out my planting grid. I'll plant my direct sowed seeds and then I'll put my drip tape irrigation back. But the method to water initially is going to be overhead till I start to see some germination, and then I'll go to the drip irrigation. Just real quick, my thoughts are that front section, maybe up to here, is going to be all beets. I think I'm going to do beets in that outside raised garden bed. Next will be a nice section of fennel, and then I'm going to put my collard greens on the outside, this row, towards that back. Anyway, let me finish raking this. I'm going to start to broad fork. Weather permitting, I'll get that done in the next 40-foot row. And we'll come back as I start to apply my compost. This is a real handy tool. 30-inch rake makes it nice when you're prepping your beds. I did a video on these tools. Might be something you want to check out. Just some hand tools. All right, I'll see you in a little bit. I've applied my compost to the two 40-foot long beds. I went between 4 and 6 inches, probably at least a good 4 inches, so it's thick. And that's intentional. I want it thick. I went about 6 to 8 last September. Currently, I'm applying my organic fertilizer, and I didn't realize it, but I had a bag of the Never Sink blend. I think it's available from Seven Springs Farm, something like that. It's my favorite. The price is reasonable, but you have to pay about $30 to get it shipped. So that's what I'm applying right now. That's what it looks like. Okay. You could get organic fertilizer from the big box stores as well. And you can see the little bits of biochar, stuff like that in there. Once I apply this to that one bed, I'll amend it in with my tilther. I'll show you that in just a minute. Probably two and a half of these will be what I apply, and then I'll tilther it in, which is basically amended into the compost. We'll come back, take a look at that. Okay, there you have it. I applied my organic fertilizer. It is the Never Sink, and it is from Seven Springs Farm. You can just look them up online. I don't get paid for any of this. I've used that, and I've used the, I believe it's Garden Tone, the vegetable variety. They both work great. I just prefer this. The ingredients look a little bit more organic as far as just how they're being processed. I'll leave it at that. Now, so I ran my tilther. Basically, that just amends that fertilizer in just an inch or so deep. I do come by with my 30-inch rake, give it a final rake. From there, I'll come by with my gritter. So stay tuned. I'll get this raked out, and weather permitting, I'll come back and I'll lay out my grid. From there, we're ready to plant, and then we can put our drip tape irrigation back, and we're just about done. Okay, there you have it. That's the gritter. This one is referred to a 3x3 grid. Let's talk about what that means now. And it's going to be difficult to see. you have your squares. So typically I'm going to plant in every corner here. Now, depending on if it was something like carrots, I'd maybe go 2 more in between. But what this does, really the main reason to do it is part of this no-till, minimal-till, weed-free home market garden is all about having weed-free vegetable garden. And when you plant in a nice straight row, and yes, this is not perfectly straight, it doesn't have to be. If I wanted to, I could have ran a string to guide that one out, a wheel. It gets away from you a little bit. Again, it's not that bad, because again, the concept is in between your plants, you can run your wire hoe and cultivate any weeds as they start to pop up, and that prevents your garden from becoming overgrown or infested with weeds. So there you have it. We broad forked. I gave it a quick rake. I've applied my compost. It's an organic compost. I applied my organic fertilizer. I amended it in with my tilther. If you didn't have a tilther, you could use a rake, just rake it in. The goal is to get it amended into that just top inch or two of soil. So this is how I flip, also prepare the beds for my next planting. So we're going to end it here. I'll do a short video on how I'm going to plant this out. But basically I just wanted to show you guys how I'm prepping my whether it's a raised garden bed or my market garden beds, how I prep them for my planting. All right, thanks for watching. Leave me alone, I'm busy farming. Also keeps you in great shape. So some people have asked, why don't I use my tractor with the bucket? This isn't that heavy and it's great exercise. So I try to do most of this stuff manually. All right, I hope this gets you guys in the motivation mode of getting ready to grow some of your own food. Thanks for watching.